time of discrimination and segregation in the United States, the Black Panther Party helped create and influence ideas of equality and civil rights for African Americans and other minority citizens by using more radically militant strategies. The founders of the Black Panther Party are Huey P. Newton and Bobby Seale. Huey Newton was born February 17, 1942 in Monroe, Louisiana, and was the youngest of 7 siblings. Early in his life, he had many run-ins with law enforcement and was suspended numerous times from school. Eventually, he cleaned up his act because he witnessed his older brother Melvin getting a good master's degree in social work. He then began to take school a lot more seriously and graduated from high school barely literate, but still decided to go to Merritt College. There, he met Bobby Seale at a rally protesting the Kennedy administration's blockade of Cuba. Bobby Seale was born on October 22, 1936 in Dallas, Texas, and was originally named Robert George Seale. He was the oldest of 3 siblings and lived with an abusive father. Seale soon found that he was very fond of politics, and when he met Newton, the two became inseparable. In October of 1966, Huey Newton and Bobby Seale founded the Black Panther Party for self-defense in Oakland, California. Despite the popular belief that the Black Panther Party was a black rights group, they were actually an organization dedicated to getting social and economic equality for everyone.
They lived it. They were talking about it, how they lived and taking care of their families, standing up for what is right.
Although their means of getting this was violent, it was something they felt was necessary. This caused a lot of controversy, and when any violent crime was committed, it was usually pinned on a party member. For example, in 1967, Huey Newton was arrested for the murder of a man at a traffic stop. He was sentenced to 15 years in prison. This sparked a large outcry, and the Free Huey movement began. After Huey Newton served 3 years in the U.S. Air Force, Huey Newton and Bobby Seale came together at Merritt College in Oakland, California, to the Black Panther Party. As the Black Panther's first official news organ goes into distribution, the news helps spread awareness to the people. The party marched fully armed to California state capitol to protest a gun law in that state. Later, in 1967, Huey Newton was arrested for killing an Oakland cop. Because he was sentenced to 15 years in prison, Eldridge Cleaver started the Free Huey movement. In the year 1968, a university sold the book Miles' Red Book to students in order to purchase a shotgun. Because of this, the Black Panther Party made it required reading. While all of this was taking place, the FBI launched a counterintelligence program to break up the Panther Party. In August 1967, the FBI opened a branch dedicated to ending black nationalist groups. FBI Director J. Edgar Hoover described the Panthers as the greatest threat to the internal security of the country. The FBI would go undercover and try to make internal conflict for the Black Panthers. Sending anonymous letters and playing petty games were their tactics to try and accomplish the demise of the Black Panther Party. In January of 1969, the Black Panther Party tried to get free breakfast for children. The free breakfast was for children to make sure they ate before going to school.
Ideally, for the Panthers who started out in California, it was about community building and community providing resources for a community who had no resources or diminishing resources or resources that were not on par with what other communities were getting.
In 1970, Bobby Seale publishes Seize the Time while still being held in prison. This was the story of the Panthers and Huey Newton. 10 years later, the Black Panther Party fell apart. This was because of police attacks and people being hunted down and killed for their actions within the party, which was mostly caused by the FBI's Neutralization Bureau. At the time, the Black Panther Party accomplished being able to create an atmosphere of acceptance towards blacks and installing fear in bigots.
Lasting influence on black uplift or African American community building was a symbolic thing, because this was a time where you had, for the first time, black people openly talking about being proud of being black.
They also started free breakfast, making it so more kids would start attending school. Soon they started feeding over 10,000 kids before school and provided free clinics. Because the party used militant strategies to get their message across, the FBI considered them a terrorist threat, partly because they killed cops during their protest. During the time Huey Newton was in jail, there were a lot of riots. The Chicago sect of the Black Panther Party worked to help local thugs and criminals to clean up their act by getting them off the streets and teaching them how to use violence in militaristic ways. From the Black Panther Party came the White Panther Party. This arose because a few supportive white people were curious on how they could help. Members of the Panther Party said get involved, and the White Panther Party was their interpretation of this. In the long run, the Black Panther Party made a lot of change happen in America. For example, getting awareness that blacks and other minorities needed better living conditions than were being lived in. They got their opinion across with violence, which still carries on today. The Panther Party was a big influence for the Black Lives Matter movement, which was started because of police brutality towards black men, which is almost the same reason why the Panthers started. The more radical side is the newest form of the Black Panther Party, which has recently taken occurrence in 2015. Although different from the original Panther Party because they accepted everyone, they were still inspired by the original Black Panthers. As more African Americans began to fight for equality during the 1960s, the Black Panther Party helped to bring forward the equality movement. While the Black Panther Party used radically militant this strategy ultimately failed due to attacks on the party itself, causing the Black Panther Party to fall apart. As their party failed, their legacy continued to fight for equal rights for minority citizens. They are also a big reason why ambulances come to houses, because they fought for the right of free healthcare for everyone. In the year 2015, the Black Lives Matter movement rose from the Black Panther Party. As time continues, minority citizens will fight for equal rights and opportunities as white citizens in the United States. It is important to remember that the Black Panther Party was not anti-white, but pro-black.